What then should we do? It's a great question. What then should we do? The crowds ask the question. Now that might sound like a pretty unlikely scenario, really, if you think of any scene with crowds in, a whole crowd coming up with such a pertinent, spot-on question. But even more unlikely, particular people ask the question, what then should we do? The really unlikely people who ask the question are tax collectors and soldiers. What then should we do? I wonder if any of those being prepared for confirmation ask that question. What then should we do? One or two of them are smiling, so maybe it occurred to them. I wonder when was the last time that any of the rest of us asked that question. What then should we do? The question is, what difference should it make to be faced with the reality of God? What difference should it make to be faced with the reality of God? The answers that John gives are pretty basic. Sharing the basic essentials, the barest essentials of life, which is to say, food and clothing. Sharing those essentials with those who lack them. The destitute aren't so obviously roundabouters, aren't so immediately accessible in order for us to share the bare essentials with them. Having said that, there will be a Harrogate food bank, I guess. Yes, there is. Amazing, isn't it? And then there is the Harrogate Homeless Project. Again, amazing that there are those in our midst who depend on that service to find shelter when crisis comes. And if we want to take a global view, there's HG 1000, with its aim of 1,000 children released from poverty and 1,000 families with safe drinking water. Or you might want to think of supporting the work of Embrace, formerly known as the Bible Land Society, the Christian development agency tackling poverty and injustice in the Middle East. What then should we do? It's important that we actually want to take some sort of action as a result of coming face to face with God. And then there are particular things appropriate to particular occupation. What might yours be? Have you, through facing the reality of God, asked what you should do as a teacher, or as a student, or as a doctor, or as a plumber, or as an accountant, or whatever it is? What then should we do? What difference should it make to be faced with the reality of God? It's a really good question. But there's an even better one, which is how do we enter more fully into the reality of God? Or put it like this, how are we to deepen our relationship with God? Paul has some really good pointers for us. Rejoice! Get some joy! God's pretty amazing, so let yourself enjoy him. Enjoy his love and mercy and goodness and grace. And then get some gentleness, gentle forbearance, if you are in touch with the gentle God who handles us, who deals with us in all gentleness. Don't worry about anything. Lose your fear and anxiety and let faith take over. It isn't doubt which is the opposite of faith. It's fear and anxiety. If we are people of faith, we begin to lose those fears and those anxieties. All shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well, declared Julian of Norwich, reflecting on the revelation of divine love. And let God's peace keep you fixed on Jesus. Now that's all about deepening our relationship with God. It's about not only facing the reality of God and asking what needs to be done about it, but about entering the reality of God and finding what a difference it makes. What then should we do? By all means, let's ask that important question. Let's also ask, how then shall we be if our relationship with God is deepening and growing?